What's up, everybody? We are back with another podcast. Jordan, dude, how's it going?
Incredibly okay, as always, my friend.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, today we decided we were going to talk about social media, not just to slam on it, but also to talk about how amazing this thing is that all of us use. If you have any sort of presence online, it's inevitable. It's become so ingrained in our culture and how we buy stuff, how we meet people, how we share things in our lives, that I think it's really important to understand what it is and the dangers, I guess, behind it.
hmm
So I think we begin with that, dude. So when you think of social media and you think of how you use it, like you think of your daughter using it when she gets older, what comes to mind when you think about it?
Uh, just a vision of myself coiled up in a corner, sucking my thumb, crying like a little schoolgirl in fear of the inevitable chaos that will ensue at some point. And I think we are a bunch of children in a sandbox, and someone threw in a chainsaw and said, "Hey, this is," and not a plastic chainsaw like we give our kids to play with to pretend to cut down trees and stuff. But they're like, "No, here's a real like 12-foot diesel lumberjack chainsaw. Here you go. This will help you build your sandcastle."
Yeah.
And without hesitation, I feel like we just pulled that string and revved that baby up, and we're just swinging it around with 30 other kids in a 4-foot by 4-foot sandbox. And I think we're seeing the bodies add up, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
And not to make light of that, but I mean, just I think the most profoundly terrifying byproduct of social media that I've seen thus far, and this is selfishly because I'm a dad, but hearing I don't know how many at this point, but just in this last year, like sub fourth grade kids, like killing themselves, committing suicide because of the power and the influence that these tools of social media have.
Jeez.
So that's obviously an extreme side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side, which is objectively looking at this thing as this is an irreversible form of communications that our species will continue to use.
Yeah.
So with that, it's not if, but when we all need to get on board, but we all need to understand how the hell do we find a user's manual for these tools of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all these things. It's not to demonize them. That's to be in a place of ignorance and fear, to say this incredibly powerful thing, because there's bad things that are connected to it, let's not use it. I think instead it's clear that we are evolving as a species in our ability to manipulate technology and how we can connect, the miracle that it is that I can call someone, I can FaceTime someone, I can interact with someone halfway across the world, or I can read something that someone's writing in real time halfway across the world. We are thoroughly advancing in our ability to connect. And I think that's what essentially makes us who we are, is we are creatures of connection. And we have been given, like I was talking to you before, it's like some intergalactic aliens accidentally like beam me up, Scotty, transported some tools to us, and we just got these insane alien species tools to communicate, and we have no idea how to use them. But we're in that sandbox with the 12-foot chainsaw, swinging it around, trying to figure out how do we actually use this effectively.
Sure.
So it's there's two sides of it, and I feel extremely about both. You and I are the generation that we grew up with landline telephones. I remember being in fifth grade when I saw my first cell phone. And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean there's not a cord? And I thought the guy that had it, I'm like, that dude is a baller. I was like, that's some gangster stuff, you know? But it's to come to be a part of this slingshotted experiment that it is. Communication advancement, that's what it is. It's like we've gone from a cell phone being able to communicate wherever we are, not being connected to a line, to our cell phone now has all these tools in it, and we're all addicted to it. And that's the whole spectrum of the conversation we're going to explore too, is how it is it's not a physical thing that is, it's not something that is outside of my body. I look at phones as like these are a physiological part of our makeup now because of how chemically dependent we are on them.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, we can take off watches and we can take off clothes, but I'm like, people are almost to the point where they can't even walk from point A to point B in a building or in a street without looking at it.
Yeah.
It's like more of your body than some other parts that you don't use. You know what I mean? So,
I know what you mean.
but
It makes me think of like glasses. When you wear glasses or something, right? They're not part of your body, but you need them just to be able to navigate the world. And it's kind of what it's become,
mhm.
where we are so dependent on them. Like you think of, remember MapQuest? Like when that first came out, like now it's like you don't even think about where you're going. Like I went to Tokyo and
Mhm.
didn't even worry about having to get anywhere because I had Google
Crazy.
Maps. It'll tell you which train, which time, which stop. Like it's amazing. Like there's no doubt that these type of tools are that alien software
Yeah.
awesomeness that like can really progress us to the next level.
Hmm.
But there is the other side of it too. And I think the other side of it is like I forget what the guy's name was from Facebook, but he came
I know what
out.
you're talking about, the
Yeah,
long-haired guy. Yeah.
but he came out and spoke about the dangers of it and why he thinks it was a mistake
Hmm.
because they basically hijacked psychology on how it works when we get that gratification, right? When we get that notification, that buzz in our pocket, we're like, "Ooh, someone liked my picture."
Yeah.
Like there's your dopamine hit, right? And so I think that's a big part of it too, is to realize that a lot of this is engineered to be addictive because
Hmm.
they need you on there, right? And you think of so well, this is a free tool, this amazing tool, the most amazing thing that I think we've ever experienced,
Hmm.
right? Just being so connected, being so plugged in that like we have pictures of every part of the world
Hmm.
in our pockets. Like we don't even think about it anymore, right? But it comes at a cost. And it's weird because we're like, okay, so what's that cost? It's free,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a bunch of terms and conditions I'm never going to read because they change every week and they're 60 pages long and I don't have enough time in my life to read every single one that I need in order
Yeah.
to use these awesome tools. But the danger side is to realize kind of what you're talking about with the chainsaw is we don't understand exactly what they are and what they do and how they actually affect us. And I think it's really important to just take a step back and go, okay, so what is this thing I'm actually using? Like,
Hmm.
why is it free?
Yeah.
Like, why am I checking it every 5 seconds? Like all these different things, because that's when the dangerous stuff comes up. We're basically given this thing that we're not equipped for,
Hmm.
and it's amazing and it's wonderful. Like I use it all the time. That's a big part of how anybody's listening to us right now, right? Is
Hmm.
because of how amazing and how connected it is. But it's extremely dangerous too. Like, and it makes me worried. Like, if I don't understand it very well, how are my kids going to?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, specifically about the kids and for you personally, what I kind of flirted with was I see all of these technologies and all these tools as forms of communication that are directly linked, and almost irreversibly tied to, um, dictating one's value. It's
Mm.
so much of what these apps and tools are. It is a portrait. It's like a photo album that you can create, whether it's a tweet photo album, whether it's an actual Word document, whatever it is. It's you're selling you're in like a car salesman way, like you're lying about what's under the hood of your life and saying this picture you see of me
Mm-hmm.
is this incredible thing thanks to editing of a photo. But when you look under the hood, I think so many people are are trying to be that used car salesman when they're not being honest about who they are, what they are, and what are the dangers that you see about everyone kind of being programmed to be a false advertiser of what they are in hopes that they can be shown some level of value for who they are.
Yeah.
And all those, like you said, the notifications coming up, you're basically getting a domino of dopamine hits available to you, or the opposite, because people can obviously say ridiculously harmful things
Yeah,
to, like
yeah,
those fourth graders killing themselves, you know?
yeah. Oh man, it makes me think when you're talking like, I mean, you think of movie stars back in the day, right? And you think of the fact that they'd have to hire a publicist and really work on this image, right?
Hmm.
Because they're the ones who sell the movies. They got to be the ones that bring people to the seats. Like, oh man, Robert Downey Jr.'s in that movie, dude.
Yeah.
I'm on board. He's
Yeah.
awesome, right? And you think of the work that it took to create that
Yeah.
image of like when I think of Robert Downey Jr. Now we have become our own publicists in a way that we've never really had before. Like we're putting these pictures and articles and all these different things out there in a way that gives people a glimpse at us that like we've never really had before. So like if you think of like my Facebook profile, you'll see pictures of my kids, right? Where they're all dressed perfectly and they are all smiling and happy. Or maybe I'll put an article about a movie or a political topic, right? Like, oh, maybe yeah, he's plugged in, he knows what's going on, right? So I'm building this online portfolio of
Yeah.
who I am, right? So that when people look at Ryan on the internet, like it's very much this publicized version,
Yeah.
right?
LinkedIn for the soul.
Yeah,
Like
and
you get to
it's
advertise who you are.
something where it's like I don't know how aware of that we are. That like it's like where do you find time to be real?
Hmm.
And where's the flaws? Where's the stuff you're working on when it seems like everything you have to show needs to be perfected?
Hmm.
And there's a danger to that to me. Like, I mean, I don't. It's weird to think because like I it was Brittany's birthday yesterday, and
Hmm.
I posted a video like I was telling you the boys, right? And and I think about it, and I go through and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize that person was my friend because they liked it, right? And you think like so many people can see what I post on all these different parts of my life, from work to family to friends to people I haven't seen in 10 years, and it's this crazy way of showing like everyone you ever known something in an instant,
Hmm.
and it's on there forever.
Yeah.
And it's like,
No rewind.
no, it's crazy. Like even if you delete it, it's still there.
Hmm.
Facebook still knows that you post it. They could look it back up.
Hmm.
And it's just weird because that public persona, there's no going back. It's instantly now. And if you do something stupid, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, scary world. And I mean, we've really been the culture to see that, where someone will dig up something like an actor or director said from high school, and they'll have to come apologize about it. Like, thank God we didn't have this stuff in high school. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because I mean, how many horrible things can you think of somebody saying?
Too
It's just,
many.
yeah, but it's just, it's a part of the world going forward that I hope we course correct
Hmm.
and figure it out a little bit more than we have, because kind of the trajectory we're on now, it's like there's no like compassion. It's all just like, oh my God, can you believe that person said that? That's so horrible. Like, screw that guy. We're gonna boycott everything. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be that way.
Yeah.
I make mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah. I think the fascinating thing to me, just hearing you talk about all the liabilities of engaging with this false reality, this like intergalactic web of lies that everyone's weaving, is we are so fixated on functioning in a synthetic uh, technological reality,
Mm.
and our emotional musculature is so velcroed to this realm and these people that we've most likely never met, and how they're able to influence us, and it's just a name with a picture that we'll probably never meet these people. I think the fascinating thing to me is to be in the front row seat of the generation that didn't have it, and when we were teenagers, MySpace got integrated into our reality.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace. And to see the high school age and younger versions of who we were, like in modern day, there is like almost emotional um, retardation.
Mm.
There's like this slowing, like you see the lack of ability for a young adult or a teenager to just engage in a conversation and maintain eye contact,
Yeah.
and to say something with sincerity and without blushing and being afraid to have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when it comes to me expressing my opinion on Twitter, I'm a fearless motherfucker. I'll just say whatever I want, whatever. You know, you hear about these people saying such horrific things about other people and their opinions, and just beating them emotionally in this texting conversation. And it's interesting how you can be this verbal gladiator when no one's around and you're not face to face. But I think there's going to be something fascinating about our emotional retardation not developing with what happened when you actually had to go meet someone and sort something out.
Yeah.
You had to actually physically sit with someone and feel the weight of that. 85+% of all communication is nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no muscles being developed for
Yeah.
young kids to just sit and just process a thought, and to be able to say, I can have a different thought than you and I can be okay with it. And I actually want to engage with you and hear your perspective, because I'm not so closed-minded and I'm not spending my whole life on a phone defending my opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts with having young boys knowing they're going to evolve in such a brutal reality, to where it's like that generation where your sons and my daughter are, social media and all of these influences are so thoroughly a part of our world right now. So it's like they were born and they will not know anything but the continued rocketing of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you thought about with environmentally what you want to do to kind of help cultivate there's no safe reality, but just the inevitable conversation your sons are going to come home with and say, this is what's getting posted. And you go on and you see what some other little bastard posted about your son. And it's like, how do I handle that as a grown ass man with another adult?
Sure.
Like all these complex things that we're going to, as parents, obviously we don't want to be helicopter parents and like try to protect. It's like,
Yeah.
I genuinely want my daughter to get hurt. I want people to hurt her feelings, not in a masochistic, like, I can't wait to see you cry, but I want to have the courage to not protect her from the inevitable reality of pain.
Yeah.
And she's going to get hurt in a way that you and I didn't get hurt. There's going to be a record of horrible things said about her or mean things. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But to know that that's a forever for them. Like, where's your head at with that?
Well, I think when it comes to them growing up in the world that we have now, it's to not lose what you were saying. It's to help them understand that while it's great to be able to text your friends and to, tell them happy birthday on Facebook or whatever, it's to not lose that call on the phone and talk about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know when you were growing up, but I had plenty of conversations talking with people on the phone just about stuff. And you could talk for hours, right? And how much more meaningful that is than just a text conversation, because of how easily misconstrued it is when you text something, and how easily it's to, you ever gotten in a text fight? It's amazingly easy.
Yes.
And then
I've won. No, I'm kidding.
Then
you
you
can never
meet,
win.
you meet the person and it's like not even close to what you both thought it was, because it just gets lost in translation. And I think that's a key point here. It's just how can you keep that real connection? Because you think of like how fragile most of us are when it comes to how we connect and how we interact, like what you just said. Like we lose a lot of that nuance that comes with like just sitting there, being able to engage with someone, when you're waiting for something, right?
Yeah.
You're not just involved on your phone. You're like talking and like learning about someone, asking how they're doing, and like building that connection in an authentic way. Now throw someone out there who just texts everybody and messages online into the real world and having it, like, I'm sure they're going to be anxious as hell. They're going to be like, oh God, please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. Please, oh shoot, they're not talk to me, and then they get all, self-conscious and like, there's no wonder we're so anxious about everything. We're disconnected from what's real because we're living in this synthetic, like you said, world.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to realize, is that while this synthetic has its place, it doesn't substitute. Like if you want to be that person that's full of joy and able to connect and be real with people, it still involves like talking to them, not just being plugged in. It's not just sending messages online. It's really engaging real conversations, presence, seeing that nonverbal that you're talking about.
Mm.
And as it goes for my kids growing up, it's to help them understand that. It's to understand what they go to school. 98% of the kids are probably just going to want to interact that way. Doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
It's just understanding that that's the culture, but you don't necessarily, you have to take part in it because you got to have friends too, but just at least to understand that there's a side being missed here.
Mm.
And it's like you can make friends and help pull them to a healthier place, to be those influencers in the better way.
Mm.
And that's my hope for them, because it scares the crap out of me when you think about it, you know? And it's something where it's a big part of just even wanting to talk about this and kind of dive into it a little bit, because it's inevitable that they're going to be plugged into this. Unless I want to move to some remote part of the world and make them read books all day,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure not going to do either.
Yeah.
But just to embrace, I guess, both sides and to learn how to cope with it in a way where they are becoming healthy and whole, because it'd be very easy for them just to be, you know, those timid, soft people that haven't really been in the real world.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Not to get off on totally sidetracked, but I think about the emotional retardation of the infinite power that these tools have to create connection.
mm,
I believe, and this is one of my most hippiest core beliefs, is there is a universal equal opposite reaction to everything. And I see intimacy and what makes humans humans in terms of like seeking a partner to procreate with, and that kind of courting mentality of just that primal instinctual, like, I'm 18, I have ridiculous hormones, what is this thing growing in my pants, I need to go insert it somewhere, you know, this barbaric like animal nature we have to find a partner and procreate. And there is an incredibly beautiful aspect of what makes us human in the full sensory experience of what that means sexually, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, what it means to actually connect with another partner, and whatever combination of human that is, a couple dudes, a couple chicks, a couple whatever the Zurzas, whatever combination of person you are, to pursue someone that you love and to explore your sexual expression of what it means to be human with them. What's fascinating to me is to see the equal opposite reaction, the recoil of what we've created is in the market. When we create things, it's either going to be for a path of least resistance, inconvenience, like fuck growing your own vegetables. And fuck nurturing these cattle. Like, I want to go to McDonald's. I want to, for 99 cents, get a meal with a bunch of processed goop of whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And I see from an emotional, physical, spiritual, sexual side of what these tools are facilitating for us is the McDonald's version of our connecting is the pornography industry, and all of the tools, all of the technology that you can pretty much stick your you know what into God knows what and put on these big old goggles and go on this scuba adventure of boners and cum. You know what I mean? You know, hopefully you have a snorkel and don't swallow the salt water. God bless. But not to get too graphic, but I see an inevitable, like, this isn't just going to be this small percentage of human beings like called nerds who are too afraid to go date girls. I see us being so capable to manipulate these technologies that I believe at one point in the future, maybe not so distant future, we can synthetically create those experiences so powerfully and manipulate our senses so powerfully that it will be the preferred form of engaging with our sexual needs. Yeah. And that is a very fucking terrifying thing, because what does that do? It cuts off all need to explore and go through the tug of war emotionally with another human being. Like, you don't even know who you are until you are in the thunderdome of a marriage or a partnership and having to learn what it means to be selfless and sacrificial, and the needed emotional tension and opportunities to grow within a relationship, marriage, whatever you call it. I think the unfortunate reality will be to choose, like, look, I can go to work, I can focus on my selfish career and my passions, and then when I get a boner, like, I can just go into this like little bubble fantasy world and get off, and then I can go back to what I want. Because that's why relationships break up, is one or both of the parties stop giving a fuck about what the other person needs.
Mm.
And I think people will get so hurt and so emotionally beaten up through the social media world as a youth, it will not make sense to go date and get hurt. What is the greatest hurt one can have to pursue love? Because you can have someone know you so well and say you are not valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do as a species? Let's create a false reality to have our temporary satisfaction need, and you can go back to like conquering the world in your selfish ego. So with that said, like, what do you forecast? What do you see for knowing you have sons, plural, you know what I mean? And when you were a boy, I know what I was like when I was a boy in terms of like sweet baby Jesus. Like, what is that on those women? I love that. I need that. You know, what are you feeling and what are you forecasting for them? And just as you as a man, like maintaining sanity with your sexuality in a world that sex is so brutally over advertised. So it's a form of synthetic prostitution, essentially. It's like you don't even have to go risk doing an illegal activity, paying a woman, who doesn't value herself well enough and doesn't know how to make ends meet. So she's going to go prostitute herself. It's like, I can do it with whoever I want, with these goggles on and this thing. And so what are your thoughts with that whole spectrum? Because I think sex, and Freud was a big advocate of like sexuality dictating so much of our reality. And I think he would have loved to have been alive in this day and age to psychoanalyze the hell out of how fucked up we are with our sexuality. But it's the most powerful thing, man. If one's sexuality is misunderstood and not satiated in a healthy way, it's your compass for so much of, because I mean, it creates fucking life.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful thing within us, Oh,
so no doubt.
With your son's loaded weapons growing up, like, how are you going to facilitate their relationship with social media and technologies like this?
Man, that's so tough.
A 47-sentence question.
Yeah, no joke. No, dude, I think, I mean, the sad part on, I think, where things are right now is I think everything is so hypersexualized in terms of, how we use sex in a way where it's just taken so far out of, I think, a healthy place. We use it to sell things. We use it to feel good about ourselves. We use it I mean, there's so many different ways. And I think it just causes us to kind of be lost in this world. And it's such a deep topic to talk about. But, when I think of, what it's become with this just instant everything, and you think of like plugging it back to social media with something like Tinder, right? Where you can just download an app on your phone, take your best pictures that you have of yourself, and then just find the people around you and just swipe right until you get somebody, and then you're just texting with them, seeing if you want to go, hook up and do whatever. I mean, that's as simple as it's become. And I think the only thing that I really worry about with my kids is just to make sure you're not just giving in to like this primal desire, that like you can understand the I guess the depth to it, where the need for connection, the need to find a partner or whatever, and not just become lost in using sex as a way to feel good about yourself, saying like, oh man, I could get a chick like that, or or whatever. And it's so easy to be tweaked, and perverted is a great word that I feel like,
Yeah.
that I hope that, like, I don't, whatever, like you said, it's such a strong carnal desire that, I don't think there's anything wrong with going whatever direction you want to go.
No, follow your heart by all means.
But it's something that, if you think that getting this person or getting this partner is, this completion to yourself, I feel like you're mistaken. I feel like it's something that we need in a way, but it's not like the end goal. So when I think of going forward in today with relationships in general, yeah, it's something where like I hope for my sons that they will be so confident and secure in who they are that they're finding someone out of that and not some way of like finding someone to complete me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a horrible concept.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes you think of Jerry Maguire, where you complete me, you complete me, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I would just feel disappointed as a father if like my son was saying that to someone else. Not the matter that they're not infatuated and like this girl's it. Like I feel like I'm so connected to you on a soul level, you
It's
know?
dope.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I'm all for that. But just the
absolutely.
idea of like once we're together and we put those rings on our fingers, then that's it.
Nothing makes sense without you. Yeah.
I just feel like it's not the way it works. But
Mm.
yeah, I would just say that, it's definitely dangerous territory. And I think that it's something that it's really hard to understand in our culture
Yeah.
because of how we use it everywhere and for so many different things that it really is a tough road to even understand the root of what's going on. And if you
Mm.
use Freud as an example of it, yeah, I mean, understanding this drive that we have, this primal desire, but like just seeing it in today's world and what it's become is just like, whoa, how did
Mhm.
this happen?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does, of course. Well, I think it's just the only reason I bring it up is because I read something this last week about a young lady who um, I don't know whether she was branding or what whether it was Instagram or whatever she was using, but she was a social media influencer, quote
Yeah,
unquote, which means you don't have a job, but you make a ton of money for looking how you look
yeah,
and wearing different brands.
yeah.
Um, but the young lady, very sadly, she took her life. And I don't know if there was a letter that was left, but it was, however, they were able to get the information. It was said that because she didn't get enough likes on a specific photograph that she posted,
Really?
like her algorithm of how many, the trajectory of like where she was going, how many people she was getting likes from, I guess on that specific day, it didn't go well for whatever reason. And just seeing that is so powerful. Like, and that's why I look at it as a weapon, a loaded gun, a chainsaw, is because it's, if it's misunderstood, and if it is your compass, if it is the thing that dictates one's value, which it does for so many people, and they're addicted to it, it can be your last day if it
Mm.
doesn't go well.
No, totally.
And it's it's incredible that the femininity and of females and how that's displayed is like that is the pulse of what these powerful tools are creating within a cultures to say, like, if you do not look like Kim Kardashian and in the amount of probably thousands, if not millions of females who have cut themselves up and injected things in certain places to look like her, not to be themselves. Like, I want to be someone else. Like, I don't
Mm.
have value, but that person does. So I'm gonna modify the puzzle pieces of my body to look like that and gain value. So it's unfortunate that all of these things say who you are and your identity have nothing to do with the intangible you
Mm.
inside. It is 100% that false advertising through the cars salesman. Like, no, all of these things focus on building the musculature on for the exterior and never thinking, not even being conscious or aware of what's under the hood, what's actually driving your vehicle in life.
Mm.
Like, no one gives a fuck. It's just like, my car's going to sit in the lot and I'm going to take pictures of it and people will think about driving it. But like, here's the sad reality is no one knows how to drive it. No one's got an engine. No one has a soul. It's just this synthetic, horrific reality that is created.
Yeah, and what makes me think of like the sad thing is like think about the generation that's so plugged into this as they get older, right? You think of like for whatever our grandparents were, some had amazing stories. Like they lived life. They
Yeah.
went to war. They like there was
Mhm.
so many things that like they try like it was
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
If you think of the stories that come from like the plugged in Instagram generation, it's like I wonder if there's a lot of great stories there. Or is it just like a lot of pictures of food and bathing suits? Like, is that what it is? Like, oh, let me show you this dinner I had 6 years ago. I mean, whatever.
Oh my god.
To me, it's just like we're missing so much like of that just because we're so focused on perception.
Yeah.
It's like who gives a crap about perception? Like live
Mm.
life, like
Yeah.
enjoy it, like wrestle with stuff.
Yeah.
Try, and it's like I don't know. It just makes me think about it, but it makes me want to go to a different topic with
Please.
social media where influencing in general, where I think that, when you think of going back to what social media is and why it's free because you are a folder, right? And you are a person that is able to be sold as info.
Hmm.
So if you're looking for sneakers and Jordan loves sneakers and somebody's there looking, I need to find 500,000 people. Foot Locker's searching for sneaker people.
Hmm.
Facebook's like, I got Jordan's one of these 500,000 people,
Hmm.
right? Bam, you just been sold to Foot Locker,
Yeah.
right? So you think about what that means, right? When you're on social media in a way. So it means that everything you do is being tracked and stored and compiled into these data points of who Jordan is and how I can use this information to make money. Because I don't know if it's true or not. What they say, data is the most valuable thing on the planet now.
Yeah.
So,
It is.
and it makes sense. But you think about it, right? And so you think that, okay, so if you're using this thing and you're not aware that like this platform is just sucking data out of you for everything to be sold and manipulated. So it's almost like you're a sitting duck if you don't realize it. You're like, man, I really want those new pair of Jordans. And next thing you're like, well, what the hell? There it is. Oh my God, they're on sale. I'm going to buy that.
Yeah. Because Siri heard you say it
Or
in a
whatever.
conversation and she
Yeah.
looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just think like to me, it's important, especially important when it becomes to the bigger issues in life and the political things, right?
Mhm.
Because regardless of your political views, I think the danger that's happened is like you can be a fanatic about some crazy ass conspiracy theory, and what's been happening is that someone will kind of cater to that and not try to help you understand and like get rid of it, but more like embolden you in
Feed it.
whatever that is. So I think it's just something to be aware of, the fact that when we're using these things, they're not there to like enlighten us. They can be there to harden us in a way that could be really unhealthy.
Mhm.
And I think it's important as you use these things to be aware of like this is the danger of it,
Mhm.
right? And just to understand what this platform's doing and kind of the darker side to it, because your information will be sold. It
Mhm.
will be. That's why you
Yeah.
get it for free. And just to be aware that like, so what does that mean for you? Right? I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest things in social media that we need to understand,
Mhm.
because I'm around too many people that believe things that they think are facts, and it's just like,
Terrifying.
yeah, but it's just like, okay, where did you get that from? Oh, the freedom gun owners of America. I follow their Facebook page.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, how do you know that's a fact? And it's not realizing that we don't really necessarily care about what's true anymore.
Mhm.
We just kind of want what we believe to be promoted.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's something that I really take to heart, especially as like kind of why we even put this stuff on the internet, is just to help people think through stuff. And for one, it's to understand, if you find this video on Facebook, to understand that, when you're scrolling down, looking at your news feed, that someone is out there trying to get you and manipulate you and sell you something and get you to believe something.
Mhm.
And that's important to realize, because you can be susceptible and it could take you down a crazy road if you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a really, really important and incredible point to focus on. Is we, and I just found myself, as you're saying it, kind of like this epiphany of like, Jesus Christ, like fortunately I'm not on any of the social media platforms because I'm terrified about how weak I am. And I have lived through different seasons of life that have been very ugly and very not good. And I'm fortunate to still be here. I'm fortunate to have a chance each day to try to figure life out. And I know that if I was a part of these false senses, false realities of communication and connection, um, I know that intrinsically I'm a human being. Therefore, I am thoroughly impacted and susceptible to whatever my environment exposes to me. And I know that it is a fool who thinks they can be exposed to certain things that he or she once thought were wrong. And if he or she is in those environments long enough, those things will start making sense. And if you are, if you're eating, a diet of, you're not exposing your palate or your gut to the magic of McDonald's or Wendy's or the Baconator, whatever is out there, you know what I mean? And you have a strict focused diet at home, um, your your physical reality will reflect the level of focus and appreciation for what it means to be physically healthy.
Mm.
In the same way, when it comes to spirituality and emotional growth or obesity or strength, that whole spectrum metaphorically, I have seen a brutal level of obesity in my heart and in my soul when I've exposed myself to toxic things and negative things. And I see the the I don't know, I don't want to say, I don't put too much weight on it, but it's almost, I think I've been in such dark places in my life that I'm afraid and very humble of what I expose myself to.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be like a Navy SEAL with what information I put in my head and what I'm exposing myself to, because it is terrifying to see how quickly, if I get off course and my compass isn't accurate with the things I'm exposing myself to, how susceptible I am to start getting weak. And I think that's the epiphany that really hit me when you were talking, because it's, we have these incredible powerful tools at our fingertips, and it's almost like without hesitation we just play with these chainsaws every day and don't realize that, look, no one just gives you a free chainsaw that can cut down redwoods,
Mm-hmm.
like this powerful incredible machine, without getting something in return for it. And that's the fascinating thing, as I'm feeling when you were saying, is like, it's like there's these mad scientists at Facebook and Instagram who are, there's probably doctors on staff and psychologists who are like literally taking samples of blood from people's DNA and dissecting brains who have been exposed to these social media platforms, and they are just dissecting us, trying to make us more addicted and more unaware of the power that they have, because ignorance is bliss, and ignorance is the infinite gift. Um, these platforms have with us, because our nature says path of least resistance is dope, be weak as fuck, don't put any effort out there. And all these mad scientists are like, this is so easy. It's almost too easy.
Yeah.
It's just like, we'll just give you free baconators all day, visually
Mm-hmm.
and mentally and emotionally. And unfortunately, physiologically, dopamine is dopamine. Like, there's not, no matter where you get it, it feels the same.
Yeah.
So if your dopamine is tied to the baconator and not like an incredibly like thorough homemade meal, and like the emotion that it takes to, like, say, I grew these vegetables, or I raised this cattle, and the level of dopamine that's connected to like patience of building something and enjoying it at its proper time in season, opposed to saying, I want a fucking tomato right now, it's in the middle of winter, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to McDonald's. Like, it's terrifying to see how thoroughly we think we are using these tools, but they're using us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I was feeling when you were saying all that, is there's a sick irony with, we think we have these incredible gifts on these phones, and the reality is like, these are not leashes, these are shock collars, these are chains. We are bound to these things, and we are the slaves, and we are swayed whatever direction we want. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what I want to talk about, is the sway, right? So if it's that way, the problem becomes, what dictates truth in someone's world is emotions. How emotional can you make somebody?
Yeah.
How can you stoke the fire of conviction in Jordan's soul, right?
Yeah.
For whatever that
Whatever's
is.
left.
Yeah, I mean that's all it becomes.
100%.
It's just breathing in that oxygen into the different areas
Yeah.
where people are just going to get convicted by it. I mean, good lord. I mean, as I watch the news and see the just the amazing amount of not just information but just the amazing part is like how convicted some people will be, and sometimes for just completely ludicrous things, and you're just like, how in the world does that person care that deeply
And
about
believe it.
yeah, about this? And to me it makes me think of guns, because like, my word, I don't know if I've ever been around people that are so passionate about something I could care less about. Like I don't care
Yeah.
about guns. I'm not for or against it really, but when I see people that are willing to die
Yeah.
for their right to own an AR, like I'm like, wow, like how did you become like that? Like you're willing to die, like to give your life, like someone, if they try to take it, I'm going down in a blaze of glory. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
But and to me, it's just the exact same thing. It's like, where are you getting your info?
Mm-hmm.
You're just, and that's the problem with like, if you cherry pick stuff, if you just look and you cherry pick, a lot of times what happens is you just embolden your stance on whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
whether Republican, Democrat, or whatever it is. And to me, it's just like, it just shows how immature we are to find any sort of truth or reality. Like we don't even know where to begin.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically, we have this platform that has just been like the ultimate mirror for showing us who we are, because it's given us just this absolute like NO2 shot, and all of a sudden we're like, wow, like I didn't realize I was like that. Now it's, you can kind of look and understand it a little bit more, and it's just showing us that we don't know how to navigate what's real and not real, or what's true or not true very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just showing us like we're at this kind of like crossroads, maybe. Who knows if it's real or not? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But with climate change or something, right? Like you have people that are just diehard passionate about it. Like I believe it's real. There's a ton of people I talk to that don't, and I think all the science is pointing towards it, right? But if we are at this crossroads with it, it's basically, are we even close to it, like a society that would ever be able to see that? Because I don't know if we are. Maybe half of us are. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at it and like there's so many people that just don't care because they think it's BS or whatever. But to me, it's just like, how do we get to a point ourselves where we could actually learn and see truth and actually change something in our own lives when it's not true? Because it shows me when I go to work and I see a lot of the dudes that I'm with, and it just shows me that there's so many of us that just don't care. They don't care about what's really true. They just care about what they care about and what their truth is, regardless if it's a bunch of BS. And so to me, it's just like social media is the ultimate way of showing us this like reflection of that, that we really just don't care. We just kind of want to buy into our feed or whatever it is. You know, if my friend Tom sends me this message that's a complete bunch of BS, you know, I'll be telling my friend Tim at work. Like that's how it goes. And then Tim's like, damn, I can't believe that's true. You know, and then it just goes.
Classic Tim.
Yeah. But where's the stop and be like, where'd you get that? Like, how do you know that that's real?
Yeah, the fact checking.
Yeah, with how many things, right? And to me, it's just something where I think that's one of the biggest things we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing to talk about when it comes to social media and using it as a way to gain info is, how are you filtering out that info?
Yeah.
Because it's a tremendous amount every day.
Yeah, too much. And I think that's probably, as you said, the most important aspect is the drinking from a fire hose of images and information. We haven't caught up with the filtration system of how to sort out what is the good part of this water from the fire hose coming at us. We have no compass. We just latch on to the things that make us feel good. And too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. And sorting out, I think ultimately the premise behind why you and I feel so, morally obligated to do this and try to be the change we want to see in the world and try to be the antithesis of what the used car salesman-esque reality of social media is trying to portray, this false perfect reality. I think you and I are a couple grown-ass men couple blue collar dudes just trying to break through what is the current state of our, not just the media, social media, but like the social culture, what it means to be human in our culture. And I think the social media is a direct reflection of where the majority is at. But you and I are trying to use this tool to be vulnerable, be open, be not whole on our journey to trying to figure out how the fuck do we find the right puzzle pieces to put back together Humpty Dumpty, you know, because everyone is a Humpty Dumpty in their life. There are things that have broken all of us, and we so few of us have a compass to sort out, as you said, how do I even begin to say who is right and who is wrong from the sources that are influencing me in a means to become a more whole person. Mm-hmm. And it's an incredibly terrifyingly complicated conversation with how many things are affecting us outside of ourselves. But at the same time, with all things, I think it's actually terrifyingly or more simple than we think. And with that said, I want to ask you and not just spout off what I think. I want to understand, with that very important question, where's your head at? Where's your heart at? Being in this crossroads with kind of the core question we need to look at when we look at this powerful tool is, how do we sort out right from wrong? What is true about it? What are the sources that are true, the sources that are wrong? Like, how would you encourage someone? How would you encourage me to even attain a filtration system of everything I'm exposing myself to? Mm-hmm. I am being bombarded. I'm being just like maimed by all these images and sad shit going on. How does one even get that Brita filter to make sense of all the shit I'm being exposed to?
Sure.
Like, how do you do it?
That is a great question. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different answers, but I'll give you the one that comes to mind right now. Mm-hmm. So, one, I think it's the awareness that there is like no middle ground. Either you are actively filtering out and seeking truth and trying to understand, or you're being taken advantage of. It's one or the other.
It's definitive, black and white.
That, I mean, to me, because if not, if it's almost like that quote, like, you're not free unless you understand why you do the things you do. Same kind of thing, where if you don't, let's say, I don't know, I'm just pick whatever topic you want, but if it's just something where like you read about this thing all the time and you're just like, giving one side, like, to me, it makes me think of apologetics, right? Like, I studied apologetics, and if you don't know what apologetics is, it's the defense of a faith, and I did it with Christianity, where you learn all the different arguments, and like, you're just so on one side, just reading every book, every argument. Then when everyone comes at you and spits another argument, you're like, all right, I got the answer for that one. Yeah. I've already reviewed 15 different ones, right? And what it's doing is like, you're just so stuck on this one side and what you want to be true that you're just like building your fortress around it. Right? And you're building your fortress around it because you think you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
So I think it's key to admit that you might not be in the right spot. And most of us don't want to do that because it's scary, especially when, convictions have this pain factor to it. And to me, it's just like, to even question these things is a really scary thing that takes a maturity that a lot of us don't get to. And I think it is something that's pivotal in terms of trying to have any sort of filter. You have to challenge these things that you care about so deeply and wonder, why am I clinging on to this thing so hard? Because most of us don't, whether you're a patriot for this country or you're a Hindu or whatever it is you want to just cling on to so hard. It comes back to the question, why am I clinging so hard? And most of us, like, we just want to give some little soft answer to it and move on. But it's when you can really go down that rabbit hole that's really difficult. So to build like, for me, when I think of, the info I take in a lot of information during the day. I look at, world politics. I try to look at stuff going around locally. I still look at sports stuff. I look at social media stuff, and it's a lot to process every day, but it's still looking at it and having kind of the uncertainty of what I'm taking in,
Hmm.
right? Of like I'm reading something, but like it's not true just because I'm reading it.
Hmm.
There's still that piece where you have to kind of find out for yourself.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it begins with, I mean, wholeheartedly understand that there is like no like, oh, I'm just in the middle ground. I'm not going one side or the other. It's like either you're getting played or you're playing. Like it's one or the other. And then two, it's just to realize that like if you want to challenge stuff, you have to be willing to like take that spot in your soul of like, why do I care so much about this particular thing, and being able to really look at it. And a lot of us don't want to do that. It's a
Yeah.
scary deal.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's well said, man. It's very well said. I think about when you were talking, just growing up, you referenced the apologetics, and we grew up in a terrifyingly, quote unquote, safe bubble of Christian schools and a very, very specific way of thinking and a very specific way of looking at the world. And programming an adolescent in that environment and only being around people who are like minded is it's very scary. It's very scary what it can do, because it puts up these bumpers. If life is, if you can look at life and say the success of it, or the full ability to live one's life to the fullest, is gauged on the, like, metaphorically, the game of bowling. And we were taught that this is how you throw a strike. And to ensure that you throw a strike, we're going to put up the biggest fucking bumpers on each side, to where your ball will literally not fluctuate a centimeter to each side. There's Jesus, that first pin. Go make sweet love to him in your heart. Strike, strike, strike. And they program all these methods and the tools and these ideas about how life is lived for Jesus. And that's it. Don't even ask why the bumpers are up. Don't ask why, what would happen if your ball went into the gutter. You don't have to worry about it. Just focus on building up your bumpers. And um, I know for me specifically, life only started making sense when I allowed those bumpers to come down and do what you said,
Mm-hmm.
and start almost schizophrenically arguing with myself. It's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I think this way? Why do I believe this way? And from all spectrums of thought, from sexuality, spirituality, politics, everything, it was so programmed in such a terrifyingly strict way, to where I can now have such peace and freedom in my mind to look at other human beings and see them be so radically different than me and how they live their lives, and have nothing but just compassion and a desire to understand them, not demonize them for living a different way. And to know that kids grow up and they struggle with, like, sexual identity issues are massive in our culture right now. And just, I have no idea what it's like to be a young child and be born a boy or be born a girl, and in my teenage years to be like, no, I'm legit, there is a dude inside of my girl body who I identify with.
Mm-hmm.
And to me that sounds like an alien concept to deal with, because I'm like, I've had the luxury of being in a dude's body and feeling very dude-y my whole life. And I've never had to struggle with being a statistic of, like, I'm a dude and I'm drawn to expressing love with another dude, and how oppressed gay people have been, and how now I can be 33 years old, grown ass man, and have rage in my heart towards people who look at another man and a man and say, you're not allowed to express love with each other. And a part of me wants to go fuck yourself. You were allowed to be attracted to your female wife in your Ralph Lauren button-up shirt on your Sunday service. I was like, this man who loves this other man has no intent other than to express his love with another man. And who are you to fucking tell him how to express his love? More importantly, just live your fucking life. Stop focusing on other people's lives. And I think that's what's so scary about all these social media platforms, is it gives everyone a platform to express their opinion about how everyone else should live their life,
Yeah.
instead of living your own fucking life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the power of it, is it gives you such addictive opportunities to look at other people's lives and not think about how to live your own, not think about how to grow yourself. You're way more addicted and consumed to saying, look how they're living their life and look how I'm better or worse than them. You know, and there's this pendulum swing every day. You look at someone else's life. Am I better than or worse than? Okay, I should work towards being like them. And it's just this sprint away from even knowing who you are. And this, like, I just want to find someone who looks better than me and does better, gooder things. And I want to go create the life that they have and never have to have the uncomfortable conversation with myself being like, bring down the bumpers, wake up and say, why the fuck do I do what I do? And throw the ball down and say, well, that didn't work. That didn't feel like me. Okay, I'm going to try something else the next day. And you try. You keep gutter. But if you have the courage to continue throwing your ball down the lane, and not to say every day is going to be a strike, but I think life has the opportunity to make sense. If you have the courage to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I invested in these tools? And why am I using them this way?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're connected to a lot of different platforms with politics, sports, all these things. Like, I think it's amazing. I think it's super dope to be able to have access to all these different things. But at the same time, it's, why am I expending this commodity that I don't have more of, which is time? It's the most important thing. Why am I giving it to this?
Yeah.
Why is there power here?
Yeah. And I think that's the key point, dude. It's to realize it's a tool, right? It's an amazing tool, but man, it could become a horrible addiction or something else. Just like anything. If we use it in this tainted way, it can destroy us. Whether, like you're talking about, you care about the opinions of other people, and you're like, oh crap, I know this person thinks I'm stupid or ugly or whatever else. And we read the comments and we're like, oh, and they just hit us in the soul. To me, it's just like, yeah, then maybe you shouldn't be using it like that. Like, don't post anything. It's just gonna hurt you from where you're at. Like, become a person who can post something because you want to, regardless of what people think. And it's freeing, and it can be a good tool. If it's something where you're, like you said, looking for it for identity or purpose or something else, and stay the hell away from it. It's going to ruin you. But it's the same thing. You realize that most of the people on there are just mindless drones.
100%.
They just barf out info or feelings or whatever else on you without having any sort of wholeness, I guess is a good word. And it's just pathetic. So to me, it's just like, we put these podcasts out here. People can tell us they're dog shit or the best thing in the world, and it just kind of falls on deaf ears, because it's not a matter of putting this out there, having someone go, wow, Ryan, you're one of the most smartest, most intellectual, enlightened people I've ever met in my life. I don't care, because to me, it's about doing what's in here. That's it. That's all that matters. Like, I'm doing this because of that. That's it. And it's important, because using these tools, you can use them in a healthy, fantastic way that help makes the world a better place. Or you can use them to destroy yourself. And that's what I mean. It's kind of one or the other. You're either having the graph go down, or it's going up. And the thing is just to own that. Are you using it to make your graph go up, or is it taking you down? And be willing to really ask yourself that question, because that's the key point of this conversation to me. And also to realize that, there is a reason these companies are making so much damn money. They're profiting and preying on you, and it's a valuable tool, but just be aware of, like, the intentions. And you can still use it in a way that's great, but they're just preying on those mindless drones. Don't be one of them. That's it. So, anything else, bro?
No, man, you nailed it. I think it, like you said, it just comes down to math, and I think trying to equate and add up whether or not this is adding or subtracting from your quality of life, and then having the courage to sit down and ask yourself why. I think that's the heart behind it. That's it. And I think are we playing footsie right now?
Totally just
I'll let you in. I think the goal should be to not put our heads in the ground and do the whole, naked mole rat thing and hide. I think we need to engage with these powerful tools. I think we need to try to, you know, I don't think there's going to be this divine like moment where, you know, God, he, she, it screams down the 12 commandments to Noah, whatever, whoever, Moses and whatever. We're not going to get this like crazy intergalactic manual how to use these things. It's not going to happen. And very clearly it's our responsibility to write the manual, you know. And I think that's what the premise of this conversation is like, how do we even start this manual? Because we don't even really know how to use these things. And I think it's I think the next best thing we can do is to just see what value is in it to your life. And what you and I do on here every time, like you said, it's like I politely don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks about what is being communicated. And I say that with compassion, because the only reason I'm doing this, because I think about a younger version of myself, whether it's a boy or a girl, you know, who's starving to know how to do this thing called life. How do I find the courage to put the bumpers down in the environment that I'm in, and try to figure things out? And I think you and I are just desperately on the sidelines of everyone's bowling game, just cheering them on, being like, you can do this. You can do it.
That's right. And I think it's for anybody who finds this podcast, I hope that they can use what we're saying as, to boil it down to simply this, is look at how you use these amazing things and ask yourself, what is it showing you about yourself? And that's it. Simple as that. What is it showing you about yourself?
Well said.
It could be an amazing mirror if you allow it to be.
Yeah.
So, anywho, well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And Jordan, anything else, bro?
No, dude.
All right.
You nailed it.
All right, let's get out of here.